Hello guys, so today we'll be learning about the typical rib. So as we know, we have two types of ribs in our body. These are atypical rib and typical rib. So this is a typical rib and it starts from the third rib till the ninth rib. And the atypical rib is the first, second, 10th, 11th and 12th rib. So let us have a look into the typical rib. So this one right here is the rib. This one is the sternum. And this one right here is the vertebrae. So let us have a look one by one. At first we have the rib over here. We have the cartilage with the help of which the rib is connecting to the sternum. These are the two cartilages and these are the articular surfaces with which the rib is going to join with the vertebrae. So next week I'm going to be posting a video for the vertebrae and there we're going to see the detailed version of vertebra and its parts. So now let us look into the rib. So let us see each and every articulates one by one. At first we have the rib over here and this is the head, the neck, and this is the tubercle. So this part over here is the head. This part over here where the rib is joining with the transverse process of the vertebrae, this is the transverse process of the vertebrae, and this joint over here is known as the neck. And then we have this part over here, the bumpy area, if you can see, this is called the tubercle. Now over here you can see the joints of the ribs and the vertebrae where it articulates. These joints are called as the costal vertebral angle, where they form joints with the ribs and the vertebrae. So let's just have a look. These both joints forms the costal vertebral joints. So the neck and the head both forms the costal vertebral joint. Up next we have the costal angle. So what is the costal angle? The costal angle is the angle from where the rib starts to take the bend. So this is the rib and then all of a sudden it's the bend. This bend is known as the costal angle. Up next we have the body of the rib. So this is the most important part of the rib, which is the body. This white part over here, the flattened and white part, is called the body of the rib. So it's also called as shaft. Next up we have the costal groove. So there is a groove on the shaft of the rib where the veins and the blood vessels travels through. Let me show you in a better view. So let's just have a better view of the costal groove. So this section over here, as you can see, this outcome from the rib, this is the groove. So this is the place through which the blood vessels, the veins, the nerves travels through. Now this was all about the joints with the vertebra and the ribs, and we also saw the body, the costal groove of the ribs. Now let us see the joint of ribs with the sternum. This over here is the joint of the ribs with the sternum. So firstly, as we all know, we have the sternum, and then we have the cartilages. So we'll call it the costal cartilage. Now, the joint with the sternum and the costal cartilage, this joint over here, is called the sternocostal joint. So let us write it down, the sternocostal joints. Next up, we have the joint with the ribs and the cartilage. So this joint of the ribs and the cartilage is known as the costochondral joint. So that was all for the joints with the sternum, costal cartilage and the ribs. So now let us have an overall look. Right here we can see the overall look of all the joints and the parts. So at first we have the transverse process. We have the tubercle. This tiny little bump in here is the tubercle, which articulates with the transverse process of the vertebrae. We have the spinous process of the vertebrae. We have the costal angle, This is the costal angle. We have the costovertebral joints, that is the combination of head and the neck. We have the vertebral body. We have the shaft or the body of the rib in here, and then here lies the costal groove for the veins and the blood vessels. This is the head, this is the neck of the rib, and then we have the sternum. We have the costal cartilages in both the sides, and then we have the sternocostal joint, and then we have the costochondral joint, which is the joint. Right here we have one typical rib. Let us see all the parts one by one. We have the head. This is the head. This is the neck. This is the tubercle. The tiny little bump in here is the tubercle. This is the smooth articular part which articulates with the transverse process. And this rough non-articular parts does not articulate with anything, but it is the attachment for the ligaments. So this rough non-articular part is where the ligaments joins. We have the costal angle, we have the body or the shaft, we have the costal groove, and as you can see, protection for intercostal nerves and vessels. So this groove is through which the nerves and the vessels goes. And then lastly, we have the crest of the head. This is the crest of the head. And then this articular surface is the superior facet, which articulates with the vertebrae above, that is from up, and then the inferior facet, which articulates corresponding vertebrae. So that was all for this video. In my next video, I'll be explaining the types of the vertebra and the parts of the vertebra.